Hello everyone, this is Bill Griffin. Welcome to Different Take Podcast. If you like this content, please subscribe, like, share, comment. Really appreciate you watching and new episodes Tuesdays and Thursdays. Today I want to talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was, the left is going bonkers over trying to prohibit her from running for re-election. So this is what's going on. 5 citizens in her district out of hundreds of thousands of people. She represents the 14th district in the United States House of Representatives from Georgia, which is upper northwest Georgia. And 5 citizens filed a complaint. Judge Amy Totenberg is the district federal judge in Gainesville. And she is an activist judge, to be sure, and she wrote a very long ruling saying this should go further. So an administrative judge at a hearing, a lot of big news about that, and the idea is that judge will make a recommendation to the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, who will ultimately decide this. So the basis of this goes something like this. So there are 5 people that made this complaint, and they're basing this on the 14th section of the 14th Amendment, which goes as follows. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress who, having previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States, shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. So the logic is that Marjorie Taylor Greene did something after the 2020 election that falls in this category. Yet she's never been charged for any crimes. She hasn't been indicted. So you have the left going pretty crazy about this. This was from an LA Times op-ed from L.Z. Granderson, April 27th. So he writes as follows. But regardless of what, if anything happens in court, getting more of the 728,000 people in her district to vote her out is the most effective method. Why? Because disqualification would be viewed as a political attack brought on by the left. It won't give pause to future candidates like her. It would provide them with ammo. Losing in the Republican primary can't be as easily dismissed, not by Greene or future candidates. Well, L.Z. Granderson, that is not the reason. That is the reason is there is no legal basis for this at all. Congress, U.S. House Representatives, Senators, long history of people running under indictment for some crime. There's no prohibition against them being convicted of a crime. He's saying that would be the most effective method is for her to lose, Marjorie Taylor Greene to lose in primary. That's not going to happen. She's very popular in her district. She won with 75% of the vote. Her opponents have raised almost zero money. She's raised a ton of money. So that's not going to happen. But instead of just telling it like it is, L.Z. Granderson comes up with this idea that because disqualification would be viewed as a political attack brought on by the left. Well, of course it is. That's what this is all about. But instead of just admitting that, he says it would be, if she's prohibited, it would be viewed that way. Of course it would be viewed that way because that's what this is. She's not going to lose in the Republican primary. It's not going to happen. So that was published in Los Angeles Times, leftist, one of the biggest leftist publications in the United States. And he's way off base. He doesn't understand that this would actually be, if she's prohibited by the Secretary of State of Georgia from running, that would be an act of voter suppression. But he doesn't say that. This next thing I want to read is from the National Review. And this is an editorial published April 26th, this year, 2022, in the National Review. Green, a conspiracy theorist who does not belong in Congress, has been no exception when House Republicans failed to use the traditional prerogative of a party caucus to strip her of her committee assignments. House Democrats used the power of their majority to oust a member of the opposing party from serving on any committee. That set a novel precedent that Democrats will live to regret. Well, let's take the first sentence. They claim she does not belong in Congress. It doesn't make a lot of sense because you can be indicted. You can even be convicted of a crime. She's not, nothing, this hasn't happened in this incident. So I don't really understand what they're getting there, because later in the editorial, they say that this would, that this should not, she should not be prohibited from running for re-election. But they are correct that this is something that the Republicans can turn back on Democrats. But Democrats have a long history of doing things that come back to get them later. This whole saga, if you will, reminds me of Louisiana House of Representative member by the name of William Jefferson, Bill Jefferson. So this is a video, and I'll tell you what the video is after you see it, but you may remember it.
I have it in a briefcase.
This FBI surveillance video shows former Louisiana Congressman William Jefferson accepting a briefcase filled with $100,000 outside a Washington area hotel. Authorities say $90,000 of that was later found in Jefferson's freezer when authorities searched his home.
Do you mind?
So Bill Jefferson was a 9-term member of the United States House of Representatives from Louisiana. He was charged with accepting a bribe, and the money was found. The FBI raided his, I guess his apartment or house, I don't know, but the FBI raided his residence, and the money was in his freezer. And this made national news. He was eventually charged 2007, ran for re-election, won, and this is him talking about the charges.
I expect to run for re-election, but that's the matter that's down the road. I expect to run for re-election.
It does not look good at this point.
Well, I can't talk about the facts of the matter with respect to whether things look good or don't look good, and therefore I won't make a response to that. No, ma'am.
Mr. Jefferson, if you did not take a $100,000 bribe, why not just say it now?
You're asking me to get into facts that I have told you I will not get into. That I told you I will not get into. And if you ask me that, I simply will decline to answer that or any fact you can think of or dream of today or that is apparent to you to ask. I know that there's a great deal of interest in having me answer questions about facts. I've simply told you I will not get involved with that because it is not a prudent thing to do based on advice of counsel.
Will you stand by your statement of last week?
So this is, there's a long history of this happening, and he was charged, ran for re-election, won in 2008, then was indicted in 2009, and came very close to winning re-election after being indicted. He was eventually convicted and was sentenced to 13 years, and he served 5 years of that sentence. He was not prevented from running for re-election, nor should he have been. You're innocent until proven guilty, and I think the Constitution is written this way because it would just allow political opponents to use the criminal system to remove representatives that the people would otherwise want in office. So this issue with Marjorie Taylor Greene will end up with the Secretary of State of Georgia, is the way I understand it. And I actually did 2 interviews with Democrat candidates for Secretary of State. John Eves said that he had some disparaging words for Marjorie Taylor Greene, but he said this should be in the hands of the voters, that the voters should decide whether they want her or not. And the another candidate, also Democrat for Secretary of State of Georgia, claimed he wasn't aware of this situation. And when I asked him if he'd he did not rule out the possibility, but he did not say that he would prohibit her from running if he were in Brad Raffensperger's shoes. So here we have Brad Raffensperger, who is the author of a book called Integrity Counts. So if you have to tell people that you have integrity, maybe don't. I've done a couple episodes about Brad Raffensperger. I hope you check it out. But he can get ahead of this thing and just say, look, I'm against voter suppression. This would be a huge act of voter suppression to prohibit a member of the United States House of Representatives from running for re-election. Because if these things if it's that important, people will vote her out if they think these charges are have any merit. But if they're baseless, and that's probably what they're going to come to the conclusion, the voters will re-elect her as they should. So all this talk about voter suppression, this would be one of the ultimate acts of voter suppression. But Raffensperger hasn't said anything, to my knowledge. So Marjorie Taylor, what's going to happen here is Marjorie Taylor Greene will not be prohibited, even if Raffensperger were to take action to prevent her. I don't think it would hold up in court. As I said, there's a long, long history of United States House representatives and senators that have been under indictment. This has happened over and over and over again. And the most glaring examples, William Jefferson. But he should have been prohibited. It should have been up to the people. And even under indictment with this video evidence and so forth, he came very close to winning re-election. So that's my episode for today. I appreciate you watching. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment if you like this content. Check out the platforms we're on. Thank you for watching.